As soon as people find out you are interested in or actually write screenplays, they come out of the woodwork with an "I have a great idea you should write," as if you don't have enough ideas as it is. You probably come up with, at minimum, 20 ideas you think you can write every year, and that's minimum. And I'm only talking about the ones that you think are decent, but you're still learning, and you write, one, maybe 2, 3 scripts a year at most. So how do you choose? How do you pick the idea that you should be using for your next script? And honestly, this is one of the things that can be a challenge, especially when you're starting out. Which idea should you use for your next screenplay? So hopefully this video is going to help. Which idea you choose honestly depends on a couple of factors. Which script is this for you? Is it your first or second or 10th? And what is your skill level in the craft of screenwriting? In other words, what is your knowledge, your experience using that knowledge, and your skill level at applying that knowledge to craft well-told stories? And you have to be honest about those things. I mean, I can't tell you where you're at exactly, but you must continue to evaluate yourself if you're serious about the craft. And it is a continuum. You move up, you move back. As you learn, you move forward. It's kind of the 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of a thing. The more you do it, the more you progress. So before I say anything else, let me say this. As you try to improve in the craft, be intentional. And that notion of being intentional is going to kind of be the barometer for the advice that I'm about to give you. And no, these are not hard and fast rules, but they are good guideposts that will keep you on the path to becoming better as a screenwriter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions for if this is your first script or second or third or fourth or fifth, things like that, just kind of some general guidelines. So if this is your first script, you've been thinking about screenwriting, you're interested in the craft, you've been noodling, maybe writing scenes or figuring out ideas, but you're ready to jump in and get wet. What do you write? If it's your first script, I would recommend this. Write the idea that you would most like to see on the big screen. It's the one you're most passionate about, the one you care most about, that you think is the most important or most brilliant or whatever it is, whatever makes that one the cream of the crop, write that one. And the reason is writing screenplays, like the actual act of writing them, is not hard. I mean, you can put words on a page, anybody can put words on a page. Finishing screenplays, having a complete story, especially if you're starting out, okay, that's hard. And it's a major victory to finish a script and have a complete story from beginning to end. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be good. It might be, but I'm not saying it's going to be. But you did get to the end and you got to write the words, "the end." So as you're learning the craft and as you're trying to figure out your way through it, for your first script, write something you love deeply. It will help to motivate you in the times when you don't feel too motivated, and there will be a few of those. And if it works out where you catch lightning in a bottle and have an excellent script, that's great. That's a win. That's a big win. But you will have finished one. And that's a feat that many, many people who say, "I want to be a screenwriter," they never accomplish. But what about if it's your second or third script? Okay, in this case, choose the idea that will help you most learn what you need to learn about the craft of screenwriting. I mean, your first script, that will have taught you a lot. You learned some things, you're going to learn some things that you're good at naturally, you're going to discover some things that you actually do pretty well, but you've also probably found some things where you really need a lot of work. Maybe a little bit of work, sometimes a whole lot of work. And I'm not just talking about the actual writing part. For some of you, the writing part might come easy, but the process for how you write a screenplay, how you figure it out, how you understand how story is working, that part, that might be a complete disaster. For most of you though, it's gonna be a mix of the two. There's gonna be some things about the process that you do well and some things that you don't. Something about the writing that you do well and some things you don't. So there's gonna be things about the process that you need to hone, like how to approach revision, for example. But there's also going to be things about the actual writing that you're going to need to improve, like how to write more authentic sounding dialogue. So for your second or third script, choose an idea that's going to help you focus on those things that you need to improve. I mean, yes, you want to end up with a solid story, but more than that, you want to end up further down the road to screenwriting mastery. You don't just want to repeat things and solidify bad habits. You should be focusing on learning and improving. And again, if you catch lightning in a bottle, that's great. But just keep in mind and be realistic about it, you probably won't. Now, you're going to be getting closer, but you're going to need some more knowledge. You're going to need some more experience and some practice using the skills you're learning. So for your second or third script, be intentional, and write a script that's going to force you to learn things you need to get better at it. Now, if it's your fourth or fifth script, these are the ones where you can start thinking about writing an idea that you can use in your portfolio. Now, it doesn't mean that you will use it, doesn't mean that you have to, but it means that you can. So this might be a contest script, it might be a calling card script, or whatever. You've got a lot of options. But from what you've learned about writing the previous scripts, as well as all the lessons along the way, you've probably read some books, you've watched a bunch of videos, you've done lots of things, maybe taken an online course, who knows what. You're filling your toolbox full of screenwriting tools, and you've been practicing and how to use them. So you're beginning to know how to use them, what works when, what works where. So it's time to start chasing the success that you've been pursuing. So with these fourth or fifth scripts, if you haven't been thinking about it already, it's time to start thinking about writing scripts that are marketable, that have a shot at getting noticed and getting read, and maybe even getting you in the room with a producer to give you a solid shot at finding the success that you're after. Now, are you going to be a master screenwriter at this point? Well, no, probably not. Okay, it takes a lot of study, a lot of practice, a lot of doing the craft, and merely writing isn't enough to make it as a screenwriter. You've also got to have some business and marketing savvy, so you can market both your script and yourself. That's part of screenwriting too. But too many writers start focusing on the marketing part before they've honed the writing part. You've got to get the writing part solid, because even if you screw up the marketing part a little, okay, it doesn't matter. Good writing does rise to the top. If you're serious about the craft, but you need more tools for your screenwriting toolbox, consider getting on the fast track. So there's so many tools there. It's like a graduate school screenwriting course just packed all into an online course that's work at your own pace. If though you want help with the process and maybe even some of the marketing part and want to work with me, I will guide you through the process of writing not just one screenplay, but as many as you want. Consider booking a free call with me for the Navigator. We'll talk a bit and see if it's a good fit for you. If the thing you need to learn is how to create characters in more compelling ways, watch this. Don't forget about fun buttons, other links below, and when you tell a story, choose the right one for you to tell at this moment and tell a story that matters. See you later.